Paychex experience any competition from foreign outsourcing?
Well, first of all, we're almost entirely in the U.S. We have 4 small branches in Germany. But when you say foreign outsourcing, you mean like competitors getting offshore people to do their work?
Yeah, like in India.
No. A couple of companies have tried that, and it hasn't worked. Offshoring in our industry has been kind of a dismal failure. I'm not so sure exactly why. We actually tried a little bit in our information technology group, and payroll law is so, it's like a rat's nest. I mean, there's so many little laws and this and that a lot of it doesn't translate well, and I think that's part of it. So, and there's not a lot of real advantage. Usually when you ship work off, you're getting workers to do stuff for, you know, pennies on a dollar. Some companies have moved client service work to particularly Brazil and India. Brazil's now bigger than India. But by the way, the dirty little secret is a lot of outsourced work is coming back. Okay, GE has just brought it back. What's the $100 hair curler that some of you may have? Schick or something like that? Not Schick like men, but Che. Yeah, thank you very much. See, I knew somebody would have it. They cost $100 or something like that? I obviously don't. Believe me. Okay, they just moved their production back to Texas because the differential they were finding by shipping work overseas, where the labor cost was in the beginning low, but the remanufacturing rate, let alone the shipping cost, whatever, made the difference about 4%. And when they got to that point, they said, let's find a low-cost place in Texas to do it. Okay? And that's finding that true in the service industry, too. When was the last time you called because your HP printer went down? Anybody? Your HPs work better than mine? Oh, man, I'll tell you. The last one I got, the guy says, oh, yes, I'm with the Seattle office. And I finally broke him down. He was in Bangalore, of course, okay? You know, and I do that with every service, and I like to find out where they're really from and the like nature of the beast. He really didn't help me very much. And it was probably as much my fault as his, but there was a major communication problem, okay? So outsourcing, in spite of what the news magazines like to say, and what a lot of, by the way, business people, because they would look at the surface of the deal and say, I can save this money. A lot of CFOs forced other people into bad decisions about outsourcing. They're starting to come back. Not that we aren't in a global mix now, which is great, and I used to work for a company that was in 200 countries, and it worked well. But some of that's coming back, and we haven't had a problem with it. Yes, sir?
Paychecks work in developing countries?
Probably not. We studied that. That's why we're only in Germany right now. If you look at South America, for example, and we've had opportunities there, most employees are paid off the books, so they don't care. Taxes, what's a tax? I mean, our value is keeping the small business person in line with the tax code. Most countries could care less. So we're no value to them. And even in countries like, and in Europe, where we looked at very seriously and we've investigated relationships, we finally went in on our own to Germany, because Germany is the most like the United States. In Europe, much of what a business person would have to do for and about their taxes and their insurance and other things that we do, like workers' compensation, is actually controlled by the government. They just run it. And so again, then we have no profit margin, and they have very little reason to use us other than a few countries. So payroll is, they don't care in most emerging countries. Frankly, in a lot of those countries, you're lucky to get paid. And so if you do, the business owner, they'll give you something quite often, not what you think you made anyway. It's and a lot of foreign countries, a lot of their payroll is what we would consider to be illegal, and we won't touch anything. We've had cases like that, and we've gotten rid of clients who wanted us to do something outside the law, we cut them off immediately. So it just isn't in our best interest. By the way, even though we have 500,000 clients and our major competitor has a little bit less than us, there are about 9 million small businesses. That means there's about 7 million small businesses that still don't have an outsourced payroll. So we also don't need to go anyplace other than the United States for the next 20 years of our growth. So I'll take one or two more. Yes, sir?
This actually goes along with what you were talking about before with expansion and the need for people. But would you speak a little to the importance of networking in your company?
Networking is something. Look, there's a difference between today's social networking and Twitter and a whole bunch of other things. And by the way, even though we recruit thousands of people, we do not do it on LinkedIn or a bunch of other things that you probably read a lot about. And even most of the big sites like Career Builder and Monster, one or two of those are going to go out of business pretty soon. They just don't work to find people. So I'm also saying don't expect to get much out of them if you look that way. We, however, teach our people to network with their peers by almost whatever means. Face-to-face, we encourage it, we sponsor it. We have people who go through training, and then they can be in this. If you ask one of our people who is in our fulfillment center in Seattle, who are your best friends at work, they're equally likely to say 2 people in the Seattle branch, somebody in Florida, and somebody in maybe Buffalo, because we try to have people network, only because it brings a robustness to their thinking. They're not just hanging with the same group of people, if you will. So we actually sponsor networking. We just don't sponsor it via a lot of electronic networking, and we seem to be at a dividing line where a lot of books now and news articles are talking about social networking in the electronic sense and virtual communities. After a while, those get tired. So, one more, or I think everybody. And I'll hang around for a few minutes if if anybody wants to ask any questions. Yes, sir.
Do you have any summer internship jobs, and like what value would you place, like the importance of having an internship job and getting like a future career? How important do you think internship is?
I'll answer those kind of in. We don't, because summer is a slow time for us. So we've just never, it's usually when people take their vacations, because the big time for us is winter, particularly January through April, W-2s, all the tax reports go out. We have people, well, they used to work double time, but we found ways to do it. But that's our busy time. Summer is our slow time, so unfortunately we've never had much of a need or capability for summer work. However, paychecks notwithstanding, I think summer work, meaningful work, anything you can get is very important in your career. Again, I may have mentioned my son worked for Lehman Brothers when he was in an MBA program. Of course, 3 weeks after he left, they closed the doors. That wasn't very helpful to him, but it was helpful for his resume. It's a great builder if you can get a meaningful summer internship job. And when I say meaningful, it isn't always exactly what you want to do. It can be meaningful in a lot of ways. Just something that's learning to you, helps you to grow and expand. And a lot of times, just different environment kind of thing. So it can be, most people, at most employers, if they look at someone at your age, there's only so many experiences you can have in the first 22 years. On a business setting, if you're looking at a resume, a very good and perhaps challenging summer experience is something that will kind of get you some points with a potential employer. Okay, I think you guys probably got lots to do.